the stadium's under construction. A lot of different things. Remember, you came out of one tunnel for specialties. Then to start the game, you came out of another tunnel.
Yeah, they kind of felt their way around the stadium. It was unique. It was a little bit different than the other times we had been there, but it was still the game you wanted to be in, regardless of the construction and all that. The crowd was still there. The element of the state championship was still there, and it was still the same kind of atmosphere. It's just you didn't have quite the locker room facilities. In fact, we dressed in the baseball locker room, and it was a funny story because Nick Dolinsky had talked to Vince Hines, who had played baseball down there, and when Vinny found out we were actually dressing in the baseball locker room, he got quite a chuckle out of that. He said, "How many guys you got?" And of course, we were in the 80s, and with the staff, a dozen guys, and he said, "Well, it's built for about 18." So it was pretty cramped, and you know what? I think it kind of lightened the mood a little bit, and it helped us relax a little bit because it was just not what we had been accustomed to going down there, but we still got dressed and we were still on time and we still got to play in a state championship.
The team had some of the big name players on that team: Caleb Turbush, Brad Herman, Adam Duvendak, Brock Gray. You had a whole list of really, really outstanding players that year. But some of the other players, like the Rex Ramages and some of those other guys, the Lance Fondles, those guys, it really became a team that year, didn't it?
Yeah, there were a lot of contributions by a lot of guys. And of course, we had a 3-year starter, Alex Luring, too, that was one of the captains of that team. And some special kids as far as talent went, and guys that were able to go on and play at a very high level, but a lot of guys that were just really good high school football players. Is a type of team that any football coach would like to be a part of, because it was just not only were they talented, they were respectful of one another, and they were just good, hard-working kids.
Well, why don't we take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll watch the 2007 state championship game.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to Redbird Classic football games. Coach, we're just minutes away now from the opening kickoff. And is this the toughest time of the game?
Well, it is pretty anxious. There's no question about it. And, you want to get it started. It's a long week of prep, and it's a unique week with Thanksgiving weekend. And you want to kind of get it going to see where it at. And we try to script. We started this year where we script the first number of plays. So at least coming out of the gate, we knew we were going to have the ball, and we knew what the first 10 plays were going to be. And we also knew with their kicking game there was a chance that we were going to be starting from the 20. But I think the kids felt good about going into it, what we were going to do and what we were going to try to accomplish. No game ended up being perfect in that regard. And there's a guy, you see old number 12 there, and just anytime it got into his hands the whole season, it was always really exciting, and this game was no different. And I think sometimes after you get back and you can reflect on kids, you really learn to appreciate them more.
Well, the ball did go into the end zone, so we do start at the 20-yard line. If you go back over Metamora the last 25, 30 years, I think 99.9% of the time it's going to be a belly play to the one side or the other, right?
Well, I mean, we haven't thrown out of there a whole lot, but we started off, and I remember this play really well. We had started off with this bubble count. It was a play we had utilized out of just about every formation that we could figure out, and that's exactly what we did here. It was a different formation. They were pretty much die-in-the-wool 50-50 defense, and we thought we could outflank them. And you could tell they're not quite sure what's coming out of the gate here. We got the flip. We got them just to peek inside, and doggone it, we were just one or two guys from breaking it right off the bat. And but they're great defense. Their kids pursued, and we didn't get quite as far as we'd hoped for. But it was a good way to start a game. We took it to their side right off the bat. Unfortunately, the thing that I'll remember about this is that we didn't end up getting any points this first drive, and we really felt like we had missed an opportunity. And against a really good team like this, you always hope that those don't come back to haunt you. But you can see they're pretty much staying 50. We ran a little lead play that we ran, and both those guys blocked well, whether it was Brock getting the ball and Adam blocking, or whether it was Adam getting the ball and Brock. They took pride in helping each other, and that was something we utilized quite a bit with the same blocking scheme that we're real familiar with, the guard pulling. And you look at those names, and that offensive line really got to a very high level by the end of the year. There's no question about that. Then we come out with the counter scheme, and the timing was a little off on it, and Caleb ended up doing what he should have done when we don't get the ball to where it needed to go, is just follow where the are going. They had a great nose guard, and the 42 was also a really good ball player. And as always, that Drew Tondini, their linebackers are always good, but Tondini was as good a linebacker as we've seen. There's 3 or 4 guys that we always rank right up. There was a kid from Belvedere that we saw early, but Tondini was an excellent. Both the brothers were hard-nosed guys. The little play-action waggle, which we'd use. They did a nice job of covering it, and we took a chance deep, and we almost got that thing caught. But we missed an opportunity there, Scott. I mean, we felt like, doggone it, we got off to a good start, and we didn't keep the drive going. But we got the ball on their side.
So now you've moved the ball, you've picked up a first down. You do have some confidence offensively, though, for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, we felt like one thing when you play a good defense, they're going to give you pretty much what you think you're going to get, and we did. There was no anything initially that we were surprised by. We just missed an opportunity there. We felt like we could have done better out of the gate, but that's part of the game. That's part of the game. And you look on the other side of the ball, just a real heads-up group. I mean, obviously that guy right there, pretty promising player. But again, you alluded to the fact there were a lot of good ball players, a lot of kids we needed to make plays in this ball game, and one of those guys was one of the biggest plays we'll get to later on from a guy that was kind of unheralded through the course of the season. We got to feel that they thought they had to take some chances, and they were primarily a running team. They had thrown a little bit, but out of the gate, we felt like they were going to take some chances, because I really do feel they felt they were the underdog, which is kind of weird when you go into a game with Morris, because they have such a great history too. But I think as the game wore on, we saw that they were going to take some chances, because they didn't think they could just grind it out, although they got into T and did some real effective running against us for a while till Tom made some adjustments.
Another guy on the Metamora team that probably would have been a big star on the team had there not been so many other big players was Heinzman.
No doubt about it. Charlie was a very good high school player, and he certainly made his mark in his time on the field. And you look at guys like Pete List, who was a nose guard, a little undersized, but played extremely hard. And
Kanega.
Kanega. Well, Kanega was a very, very good athlete, and I think he had a good year his junior year, and I think that helped him realize how really good he could be his senior year, and he was.
And it's kind of the funny part of it is I don't believe he played much defense when he was a sophomore.
No, he didn't. But he was a good athlete, and they just get this, and we're doing the right thing, and I mean it just they were going to take chances, but they also didn't have the clock running either. I mean, I think they felt like if they gave our offense too many opportunities, and of course there's George, and George is a very interesting guy. I mean, just a high motor guy, and his son John was a tremendous player for him prior to this, this season.
His son was John Durgo.
Right.
And I went and watched a Morris Joliet Catholic playoff game. Maybe 2004 or 5, something like that. Mm-hmm. And on the way up there, we got a Morris channel, and they had trivia. What was the lowest amount of yards he had gained in one single game? And it was against Metamora.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and it was in 04, and our defense played just fantastic. And I think we had him at about 50-some for the day, and played just outstanding. We just didn't put enough points on the board. So we got a 4th and short, and those are gambles, but I think they were willing to take those kind of risks because they felt they needed to. quarterback was not necessarily what you'd call a Division I scholarship guy, but he was a heady ball player. Didn't make very many mistakes, and he seemed to make plays for him all through the tournament. We saw him the week before when they played Woodstock Marion. He made just enough plays for their offense, and with the running backs they had, hard running guys. It just made them a tough team. And their schedule, undoubtedly, that year, the league they were in and the teams that had to play. These kids were pretty salty by the time they got to us. They had played a lot of stiff competition.
I believe they had 2 losses coming into this game, but they were against some really good teams, too, weren't they?
And again, they caught us on this one, and sometimes you got to have a break or two. We got caught peeking in the kitchen on that one, and little play action on first down. Of course, he's their all-stater, 81, their all-state receiver.
Is that Zach Thietard?
Yeah, they were going to take some shots with him.
And I thought the most part their team, or I should say Ryan Herring actually did a really good job on Zach Thietard.
He did an excellent job, and Ryan was one of those guys that people felt like he was a little unsure early in the year, and by the end of the year, we wanted him over top of the All-Stater. And again, another guy that played great in this game and kind of unheralded. We got after it pretty good up front, and we were good up front, Scott. I mean, there's no question. We had some players. I mean, we had some kids that could play their role, and it was very difficult to run on this team this year for any length of time. I mean, they put together some good things, mostly out of the 3-back set. But we did do a good job, and of course Tom Gunther, who put together the defense for many years. He enjoyed working with this group because he could move kids around, and they were pretty savvy about tweaking this or tweaking that, and I think he really enjoyed the fact that he had some flexibility with this group of kids.
I thought the defensive line seemed a little bit small at times, but they were pretty good, weren't they, up front?
Yeah, I mean, small and I mean, probably smaller than some of the groups we've had, but all those kids were pretty physically strong. I mean, we didn't have any kids up there that hadn't spent any time in the weight room, that's for sure. And the guys got better. The inexperienced guys got better as the season went on, and we did use Kanega some. You'll see him every once in a while get some defensive time here. But again, those early penalties. I mean, when we watched the game, 75 game, you guys still remember these are kids, and it's a big time deal. And again, I think we were prepared for this, and they were taking some chances. They opened up their playbook a little bit. I don't think they ever stumped us on anything, but I mean, where we didn't make a play.
You had a lot of guys that just knew what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, and they got along. I mean, they were good. They worked well together. They weren't just individuals that did, but they knew how they fit with the other guys. I mean, like I said, Tom was able to do more with these guys just simply because they picked up things real well and they were athletic enough. And I wouldn't speak on his behalf, but I know he enjoyed. We all enjoyed this season a great deal. Anytime he got the ball, you just kind of held your breath because you never knew what Adam was going to do. And of course, our kids took pride in special teams. Brad was just, there's a guy that, he took as much pride in blocking on punt. And we know he had some great blocks on punt through the course of the season. But who wouldn't want to block for Adam? I mean, he was just a guy that, he did some things on the football field that, you don't coach. He just was a gifted kid with the ball in his hands. And Brock, too. I mean, it was just such a nice luxury to have. We go 2 back and come back with the same play we had run earlier. Don't pick up Tondine, and I think we found out how important then picking up the backside linebacker was because he reacted really well to that.
Speaking of Brad Herman and blocks, the East Peoria game still may be one of the greatest hits in Metamora history.
Well, it's certainly got to rank right up there. I'd hate to think anybody ever got hit any harder than that. But we were what was good about that, as big a hit as it was and as exciting it was, the young man was okay. I mean,
he came back and played the second half.
Yeah, he really did. He did. And again, we jumped early here. I mean, we were trying to pull a little bit early, and I think we got caught a little bit peeking at their guy, maybe blitzing, and so the nerves are working us a little bit here.
Now, did it also help to know that you had you had a big horse up front, Alex Loring, who'd been there now in his third year. That had to be a big comfort to know that you had a guy up there that had been through the wars.
Right, and Alex was just a leader from the time he started. I mean, he really showed leadership qualities as a sophomore. You know, usually sophomore guys just kind of accept their role, but once we moved him up, I mean, he didn't have any trouble being in charge, and you know, he just was one of those guys that was a natural leader. Now again, we found more ways to get him the ball in space, and we got a break here. I think we had a face mask. We probably didn't hit that thing as wide as we would have liked to have, and the way they pursued it didn't. But you can see, you know, the stadium there so much different now than it was that particular day. I mean, it's just a beautiful place. It was beautiful that day.
It sure was.
They could have had cranes flying over. It wouldn't have mattered. We were just tickled. You know, arguably again, like we saw in the '75 game, just a tremendous Metamora crowd.
You know, I think it's safe to say that I don't think we've ever had fewer people than the other team in any state championship game we've ever been
No,
in.
I would agree with that, and that's you know, that makes you feel really good. And obviously the kids realize it too. I mean, there's just no question about that. They did a nice job of defending that, and then we had an option, and that Caleb did a good job of reading it. We got the chaser. They were so aggressive. You know, he almost broke that, but again, their secondary kids were good tacklers. In 12 of 14 ball games we play in, that's probably a touchdown.
Yeah.
But the difference is their perimeter guys were so good at tackling that, you know, that where our touchdowns became first downs, and that's a credit.
You expect that though in the state championship.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, to get to this game, we played a very good, a very high-powered offense in Marion the week before.
Yeah, and that guy, you know, obviously the quarterback ended up playing at ISU, and and that too. There's just an old off-tackle play, very similar to what you saw in '75. The only difference is we're reversing out a little bit, and you know, Brock was a really slashing north-south runner. You know, he maybe didn't have as many moves as Adam, but where he made was, man, he just could cut, you know, just tight, straight ahead, just those little veers to find those creases.
He didn't need much of a block either to get into the open, did he?
No, and you know, you know, he wasn't 215, 220. He was probably 175, but he brought something when he came out with the waggle, the play action, and you know, there was a good guy to throw it to. Both those guys were reliable, and Chad, of course, too, was the same good-handed guys. So again, you know, we felt like we were moving the football, and things were going okay, and there wasn't anything up front that we weren't feeling like we couldn't handle. But you had to stay on it because they didn't stay blocked very long. I mean, they were very, very physical. Come back with the belly option, and you know, Caleb, as good arm as he had, I think if he'd have said what his favorite play was, I think it might have been that one right there. He just loved it. And he was another big guy to run the ball for us, and people had to decide how they were going to defend that backfield, and it was a real blessing to have. And of course, because we were good up front, things happened up front for those kids like they were expected to, and that gave our quarterbacks and our running backs a lot of confidence, I think.
Was there a point in time in this season where you said, you know what, we got to have a chance to go to Champaign?
Well, you know, we try to stay away from that. I mean, I guess probably subconscious. I think the kids, because we had been in the semis the year before and lost lost the Sacred Heart. They were certainly a quality team and went on to win the state championship. But, you know, I think, yeah, if you ask the kids, I just think we always have to be careful with that mentality. Plus, you know, you want to get to this point, but, you know, there's so many things that are fun during the course of the season that you don't want to get to week 14 too fast. I mean, there's just because the season goes fast enough. So, but I'm sure if you ask the kids in the back of their mind, if you ask the community, I think everybody thought this team, with what we had coming back, had a shot at it. You know, what I always appreciate too was Caleb waited till he was a senior. He was a tremendous athlete that waited till he was a senior year to be our quarterback, because Charlie Zimmerman was a returning starter the year before, and just really appreciate how Caleb was patient and handled that, and was always a team guy first, And but I'll tell you what, when he became a senior, it was his show. He made the most of it.
I think a lot of people started to think maybe this was going to be a special team when he went up to Riverside Brookfield that first week and hung 41 on Riverside in the first quarter.
Well, kind of an eye-opener for us. I mean, we certainly didn't expect that. We thought we could play well. And again, there's just another guy. We got that third element in our backfield, and I think that's what's really helped our offense is, we put three back there in that shotgun. It gives you a couple different dimensions that you have that we didn't have when we were under center. And Caleb really got it. He got the whole idea behind the offense and the different things we needed him to do. And that was, I mean, what are you going to say? He was a Division I guy.
Metamora putting together a nice drive right here.
They kind of got us on penetration there, and their nose guard was a good ball player. And, again, like I alluded to, first quarter, you remember we watched 75 game, you watched Geneva have the ball in our territory the whole first quarter and nothing happened. We felt a little bit like this in this game in that we felt like we had some points on the board. And, we didn't. And, that's high school football. But we kept coming. I mean, we kept bringing it, but it was unfortunate here. We didn't get anything because we're knocking. I mean, you can tell we're already getting into them, and our kids have confidence in what we're doing, and it's a good drive, and we're feeling pretty good about it. We spent most of the first quarter in their territory. We just didn't come up with the points.
Is it hard to keep a team focused when they're used to going, first down, second down, first down? Now they get into a big game, and they've got to put together a drive of 14, 15 plays.
Well, I think that's a very good point. I would like to think that you prep for that, but you are right in the fact that there were some games where like we alluded to, there was a play where we run that counter read and Caleb pops it. Pretty much in every other game he scores a touchdown, not in this one. And so they take the time out. They're talking because they know we're driving and I don't know as if they really made that significant of a adjustment. They're just trying to rally their guys a little bit and maybe shut down a little momentum, and it worked. I mean, we're talking about, hey, let's just keep doing what we're doing. We're okay, and we felt like we were going to take this thing in and score.
I don't believe we score on this drive, though, do we?
No, it turned on us. In fact, we thought we were going to, like I said, I mean, this was one of those frustrating things as a coach where you knew it wasn't going to be a game where you scored 5 and 6 touchdowns. We just never felt like that. But so the significance of this one could have been is the fact that we didn't end up scoring when it looked like we were going to take it in. We're doing okay. I mean, we're into that area now where 3.5 yards a pop is going to do it for us. So, and we like that area.
Can that be kind of a morale demoralizer, I guess you could say?
Well, it was, yeah. I mean, I think you're making a good point. It was disappointing for sure. I mean, you always want it when you have a chance to score first. These games, there's just so much pressure, They defended the counter option a little bit better that time. And I don't even know. I think that might have been more of a combination play. I'm not sure we had to read in on that one. We had the ability to read it and sometimes just fake it and keep it, take that dimension out of it. So, we're still okay, though. I mean, I think we're, third and not too long here.
No, I'm not sure exactly how far you have to go for the first, but nice run.
Yeah, I mean
I believe this is the play where Jason Randolph gets hurt too.
Yeah, that was a tough loss. I mean, Jason just was such an instrumental part of that offensive front, and that was it. I mean, unfortunately, that was it for the day. He had some problems with the knee. But was okay to play, and it was just so disappointing. Anytime we get an athlete hurt, particularly in a state championship game, but really anytime, Scott, that's the hard part of athletics is dealing with the injuries, and that was disappointing for him. Great kid, and it was all about the team. And he was smiling after the game. Even though unfortunately he was hurt. Tim Thanem comes in though. Again, that's where it's nice to have depth. Tim comes in, big kid, smart kid, and a guy that really at the beginning of his high school career, he had to work to become a good player, and he did. And he's currently playing college football.
I remember there were kids that were on the varsity team when he was a sophomore, saying that he was going to be a player. He was going to make himself into a good high school lineman.
Sure. And a critical. I mean, we jumped. We had a 4th and 3, and 4th and 8's a little bit different. The irony of this whole thing is, it was a little early in the game, and we were just far enough back that, we didn't want to put too much pressure on a freshman kicker.
No.
But later in the game, we pretty much put the whole game on him. So, looking back on it, if we'd had to do it again, I think we would have given Brennan a shot here. It was within his range.
At about the same spot that we would see him later on.
Yeah, there's a little irony there. And, when you're 4th and 8 and in a situation, we lost the element of, we had to take a shot at it and probably forced it. But again, put ourselves in that situation with the penalty. And, that's a nice thing about looking back at these games. You could fix all those mistakes, and it didn't end up costing us the game, but it was disappointing. And like you said, what a momentum shift. They felt pretty good about it because we were knocking them around pretty good, and we kind of stopped ourselves on that drive, unfortunately.
But better things were to come in this game.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, but boy, at that time you don't know it. You just know you're not going to. Look how fast the game's going now already, and we're about done with the first quarter. But it was uplifting to them. I think they felt like, hey, we've stopped them twice now, and they go to something that gave us trouble for a while. Their T. We hadn't seen a T run a game, and obviously they were pretty good at it, and that was. They had 3 or 4 kids that could run the football in between the tackles, and they were effective with their T. There's no doubt about it.
Well, that'll be the end of the first quarter. It's 0-0. We'll take a timeout for our sponsors. Well, welcome back to Classic Redbird football. Morris will start the second quarter with the ball on the 20. Is it the 20-yard line?
Yeah, they had the interception in the end zone, so they're coming out.
You got to kind of like their coach's philosophy of the game. He went for the win.
Yeah,
it helped us.
We'll get to that point and be able to kind of, talk about some of the things we were thinking about there. But so we did a nice job initially. I think we were prepared for the T. They out-executed us a couple of times with their offense versus our defense. We might not have fit quite right. And they were pretty simple but effective. The play action, we were disappointed here. We felt like that was one of the defensive mistakes that we made that really hurt us because we had him deep and probably should have got to him. We just missed him on the backside. We kind of ran by him, and then we were supposed to pick this guy up out of the backfield, and we got caught with the action. But, well-executed play, and we didn't defend it real well.
They looked awfully big up front.
No, they were strong kids and real physical. I mean, that's kind of much like ourselves, we like to think we're physical, and they certainly are physical as well. Kind of went for one there. Great play. We always preach about get to the receiver first, because if you don't get the receiver, you're not going to be able to make a play where the ball is. And Lance does a really nice job. It's kind of awkward how he does it, but he looks at the right time. He never lost the feel for the player. You can see he still knows where he's at, and then make a play on the ball at the end. And you mentioned him early in the game. He really had a fantastic senior season for us. Another kid that just really progressed as each year in our program.
Always made the little play.
Yeah. And just a real popular guy amongst the. I know when they have a reunion, they come back. Everybody be glad to see him because he just brought a lot of life and fun to the program. Missed one there, right break, but again, good pursuit here. And Sam had a heck of a day, and that Rex Ramage there, I'm sorry, was the one that made the play. Rex, another guy, maybe not as strong as he looked, but whatever he didn't have in strength, he made up for in football savvy. I mean, he was a playmaker.
And I think that it was only maybe the second catch and the only 2 catches that Thetard had the whole day.
Oh, yeah. There weren't many, and thank goodness, because he was kind of their bailout guy, and rightly so, a very good receiver. But Rex was a guy that played. He was like a utility. In the course of his 2 years, he played a lot of different spots for Scott. Did a nice job of not letting this thing get around, taking on blockers, and again, our kids knew where they fit, and there's Rex again. And I think too, he had the opportunity because, they didn't want to run at Brad a whole lot, quite frankly. I mean, that didn't usually work real well, so that really helped.
But it's always nice to have that one guy that's maybe not the superstar on the team, but the other guy that's real smart, knows where he has to be on every play, and he's dependable.
Well, and your defense has got to have 11 guys like that, because when you get to this level, if you've got one that can't get it done, they're gonna find him, and that's where we felt like we were at with these guys. There were some weird punts in this game. There was wind, and we're just glad that didn't. The next year we had some of those where they were landing on the wrong guys all the time. But so again, defense stepped up, and we still have the opportunity now to be the first ones on the board.
Like you said, Morris had defeated Woodstock Marion Catholic the week before. The quarterback for Woodstock, John Butcher, who's now the starting quarterback for Wisconsin.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, I certainly have. He was good. We saw him play. But to be honest with you, we wouldn't have traded.
Yeah.
We ran a little option, some veer option. We thought that would be beneficial against the 50, and we started to utilize that. In fact, both scores, Scott, in this game are off that same kind of option. Maybe not out of the same formation. But our guys feel like the things are happening. They know they got to work at it, but they're not confused by what they're seeing. It's just a matter of staying on it.
It does look like even though they've stopped us, we're still confident and able to move the ball.
Yeah, we had some good numbers. We had some good numbers in this game, and but to their credit, and I mean that sincerely, to their credit, we didn't get the points that we should have gotten based on the amount of time that we were moving the football. And I think that's really what they wanted to do in this game, was just hang around. And you know what, they had made a success of that. They did that against, I think it was Belvedere and then Woodstock Marion. It was just hang around and make a play at the end, and that just about worked for them in this game. There's no question. Back to Belly, and the one time that Timmy's just coming in the game, and he'd tell you he'd like to have that one back. Normally we like to pull the left guard on that play, but he had a really good game, and I'm not singling him out for any other reason. You go back and look at these games and you chuckle and you just remember that a lot of pressure on kids, and he wasn't in the starting lineup and probably just kind of settled in. Next thing you know, hey, we're running behind you. But we had the kind of depth, and I think you have to through the course of the season, and that's why we want to play a lot of kids through the course of the season, and we try to get as many guys on the field on each Friday night as we can, because you just never know. Plus the time they put in. There's the option again. They did a good job. They kind of blew that one up. We let a guy penetrate through there. We would like to have that walled off a little bit better, but you're not going to win them all. There's a reason why they're in the, like he alluded to, there's a reason why they're in the state championship too, and it's not because they're playing bad defense.
And we always talk about, Metamora gets a guy injured, and the next guy comes in, and it always seems that for whatever reason, maybe you're a little bit more, but that kid will make a big play sometime in that game that he's replacing somebody. And
yeah,
we always call it, the plug and play. You've always been able to plug in somebody and they make a play.
Real nice, yeah. There's real nice play there. Obviously, it's not a bad idea for the Purdue recruit to throw it to the Iowa recruit. That combination all through the tournament was good. But Brad presented you some problems because not only is he that big, but he runs so doggone well. And,
pretty athletic.
Yeah, that's right. So again, here we go again. We feel like we're putting together a nice drive. Our kids are confident. Things are going okay. And they're starting to they move some guys around a little bit, but not a lot. The blitzing was basically their way of handling it and getting off the football, which they did at times. We didn't quite get to their down guys. Their down guys were quick. and strong, and they gave us some trouble at times. But the thing about these guys too, Scott, that I always appreciated, even though they knew they were going to do well, there was always just this, and even late in this ball game when it wasn't going, there was a quiet confidence, not an arrogance. I wouldn't say that, but they had a real quiet confidence in their each other and their ability to do well. And that was the other factor. I mean, you don't coach that up. He just makes a play here. And, those, how many times do we see those guys, a lot of them, whether it was Brock or Adam or Caleb or, anybody had their hands on ball, bail out, and make a play for you. Things break down, and that's what really good players do. They just find a way to get it done. Takes a lot of pressure off the coach.
This had to be a really fun year. The regular season, wherever you went, it was that team's big game of the year. And I work in Peoria. I work with a lot of people that have kids that go to other schools, and I remember them saying a couple times, "Oh, the circus is coming to town tonight." And it almost kind of had that kind of a feel to it that year. Every time you'd go, there'd be these huge crowds, and there was always a big play, an exciting play during the game that made you think, "Wow, they're pretty good."
Yeah, this group was like a lot of groups we've had, but this group certainly was a lot of fun to watch, and they had fun too. I think they felt a little pressure, to be successful, but I think these guys really enjoyed playing football together, and I think they've got some fond memories. Not obviously state title too, but just the fact that we're starting to hit them a little bit again with. We didn't run quite as much counter effectively as we would have liked, so we're hitting them with the veer scheme a little bit more on this drive, and then of course going back to old bread and butter, belly and belly option. But yeah, and that was the last year for these jerseys. We had that look for a long time, and they were getting to that point where we had to make it. Some of those jerseys hadn't been in place for a while, so. But I had to laugh. You're looking at Morris, and some of theirs look the same way. So it's funny. Our kids don't always, they like that. They like wearing that old jersey. I remember we had, we got Luke Maurer a new jersey because Jake Mauer's was so torn up. He didn't want it. He wanted his brother's jersey. So those are things that make it fun. And just, anytime they show that pan on the crowd, it's just puts a lump in your throat that, you can have that kind of following for what you do. From a high school sports standpoint, it doesn't get much.
No, it doesn't. We're down to about the 13-yard line.
A little unbalanced. They don't adjust much with the front, and again, we're just trying to get her north and south. We know we got the count in our favor, and there's time to get it in there, and they're making us earn everything we get. You're not seeing a whole lot of plays where they're not getting people there in a hurry. So, and that was a change. Like he said, at times during the season we were so explosive that. This was a little bit uncomfortable, I think, at first, but our kids stayed on it.
And we still picked up 4 yards there.
Yeah, and they defended it pretty well, and there was a lot of times too where we felt like during the season running off tackle where it looked like they had defended well, and these kids just were athletic enough and strong enough that we were turning it into 3 and 4 yard gains.
I think they took a timeout here. And I believe I think we punch in on this very next play.
Well, we're going to get in here pretty quick. I know that. There it is. What we had there is we had the 5 technique, the tackle, the defensive tackle kind of dropped, and we read him, and we got to the linebacker, and we flowed that a little bit because the Tondini, any kind of movement one way, we got him just to take, if you watch, he'll take just that lean step, and we got him. And good call, well-executed play. Coach D was saying stick with the veer, and he thought we'd get it in. And, we get a lot of good help from our guys. It's not only a team effort, but the coaches feel that way too.
It looked like Nick Tassif had a nice block on there to kind of seal that back.
Nick really kind of, he's one of those guys that was kind of he was a junior that we weren't really sure, at times, maybe didn't run as well as some of the other guys, but on game day, he was a little faster on game day.
Well, you had an injury to Jake Nicholson early in the year that kind of propelled him into
Right. Again, there was another one that we kind of fell into there, but he he took advantage of it. And of course, we Brennan tells me he's 135 pounds in this game, but I don't see how, unless he had rocks in his thigh pads or something like that.
Yeah,
but
he wasn't.
but boy, we sure didn't know what the day was going to bring. But that was a good drive. I mean, we felt like at that point, we felt at halftime we went in, and other than probably should have been 14-0 at that point, and we didn't get that other one in. And again, there, even though we're going to go lead, I think Morris probably went in thinking, this worked out okay for us.
Yeah. Well, Lance Fondle did all the kicking off that year. Was that because of Brendan Van Meegem's frailness?
Well, Brendan learned, and obviously we watched him years after become quite a tackler on our kickoff team, but not his freshman year. We didn't really encourage him to make a lot of tackles initially. Good run by their kid here. And, their competitors battling. The Wagner kid was a good ball player. But and Lance was kind of a crapshoot. We had some interesting kickoffs with Lance we had the one right after the playoff game,
the
second half, and everybody thought that was a well-conceived onside kick. Nah, Lance just pretty much shanked it. We got on it, so people didn't know the truth. There's the truth to that story.
Well, I think if you watched our replay of that game, the look on your face after that happened pretty much told the story.
Well, some days it just goes your way too. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. That was had ran a lot. We did a nice job of turning that thing back in, and one of the things that we talk about when our defenses are playing well, we're getting, like we noticed in 75, and we talked about this week to our kids, is that get five when we're rolling, we got 5 or 6 kids to the ball carrier every time. Kids are fitting right, they're pursuing, they're playing hard, and that's what a good defense does. And I really feel, too, as talented as this defensive group was, Tom got the most out of them. He didn't cheat them. He did a good job of putting kids in the right spot.
That's Tom Gunther, the defensive coordinator.
Yes.
Who's now retired from coaching.
Yes, but he's still now we've got film on the internet, so Tom is still involved, and we call him an underpaid consultant now. So,
underpaid.
Yeah. Because we don't pay him anything.
That's about as underpaid as you can get.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's okay with it. We still have fun. We still communicate and miss him, but our guys have done and stepped up and done a good job at keeping things going on that side of the ball.
Jared Grebner, the defensive coordinator now.
Yeah, and he's doing a very, very good job, and he knows he's doing it his way, his wrinkles, but obviously the foundation was there when Derek Linder was our coordinator too. So good pursuit here, good reaction, getting guys the ball. He's shut down, he's put it away. There's no chance of us. So at this point, again, we're glad to be ahead. I will still be honest, though. I felt like going in, we should have had one more on the board here. They weren't, they didn't want to him. They didn't really want to kick it to Adam, and I don't blame them. We had set up some really good returns through the course of the year, and they were going to. Not too many guys kicked it right at him. I mean, that wasn't something that people wanted to do. Yeah, this halftime was actually underneath. They had set up Biz Queen wall, and you just went back in there, and they had chairs set up. And I mean, they made it as nice as they could. And you still want to be there. It's a fantastic place, and they're great hosts down. It's just a thrill to come into Memorial Stadium.
That was our first year at Memorial. I believe, was it? No, this was our third trip to Memorial.
Yeah, we had been there before.
And it's always fun to go there. You got the tent city.
They do right. I mean, it's been a neat. You get the escort when you get off the. I mean, they've over the years have added some real nice things, and they've been good hosts. And we're going to see there's going to be some changes now coming down with the Big Ten changing. Where we may not get in there, teams may not be able to play there every year, but I'm sure they'll get it worked out. And there's a lot of good venues in the state, and you know, you play a state championship game anywhere, but
Right.
they certainly, it's been fun to play it here, and it was fun to play it at ISU for that matter. Went back to the same play that we had thrown the first one on to Doobie, but this time was the give. That was the other option. And Brock almost, again, I don't know how many times we would have run that play where he might have busted that. But
Yeah.
you have to think a little bit. You got to be a little more patient with these guys because they get to the ball pretty effectively.
Nice
and there
holder.
he is again, Tondini. I mean, again, I can't say enough. People ask me on the recruits would come in and ask, and you know, it's just one of those linebackers that high school linebackers had a great nose for the ball. So, you know, if we'd had another time, again, if we'd had a little more time, we were putting together a pretty good drive here. But and there he is again, by the way. I don't know how many tackles he had in this game, but he had a
But all in all, you had to be happy going in at halftime too.
well, you want to be ahead. I mean, you want to be ahead, and so we were. But and again, see where you know their safeties did a nice job. We're picking them up. I mean, we're getting there. We just didn't quite have enough time, and we'll take some chances, but because we are running out of time.
Just under a minute to go in the first half. I believe you called a timeout on this one.
Yeah, we're trying to save some clock down there and get a field goal, and it didn't end up happening.
You throw a freshman in there to do that?
Yeah, when he's the one available. But you know, he was ahead of. I mean, even though he was a freshman, I think we all know that from a maturity standpoint, Brennan was a lot farther ahead. I mean, he was just one of those guys that was, you know, just always working on his game. You know, I can remember that Thanksgiving when we have that early morning practice, which you know everybody likes that. You know that people say, "Isn't that tough to practice on Thanksgiving?" No, that's a good time to be practicing. There's a reason why you're practicing.
Yeah.
But we try to get in early and get our work done so people can spend time with their families. But he wasn't happy with his performance that morning, and so I don't know how long he stuck around. He probably would never say, but he was around for a long time. You know, after everybody left. That's just the kind of kid he was, and I mean that's just the amount of responsibility that he felt for this football team.
And I'm sure the players had confidence too.
Oh,
in
yeah.
What would happen in the future.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Our guys wanted him to be the guy. I mean, at midseason when we made that decision, broke down a little bit protection-wise. Caleb tries to make a play there, and Brad just can't quite get his hands on it.
Might have been out of bounds too.
Yeah, that very well could have been.
But the important thing was he got it out of bounds, threw the pass incomplete, saved some time.
Yeah, we still got a shot here. We really got a shot here. I mean, I think we felt like with these guys, we always had a shot as long as we had the ball in our hand. But again, just a dream to coach. All the guys have, you know, just on this football team, so many kids, and they just enjoyed being around football. And we had a lot of fun. Said, well, yeah, that's because you won every game. We had the middle screen. We've used that. And again, you know, we just almost popped that thing. And unfortunately, I think we had a penalty, too, that
Big recovery by Adam Duvendak.
Yeah, heads up play.
Now, in this game, didn't he take a pretty good shot that kind of...
It's possible. You know, I don't remember anything, and there's I think we probably had a clip there. If not, we probably should have had a clip there. But you're right when you said we went into halftime not overconfident, but I think our guys felt like they only had maybe one or two first downs in the whole first half, so we felt like, but this ended up actually coming into play. We knew they weren't going to go away. I mean, so it was one of those games where we probably both went into the locker room feeling pretty good about it. I think they did too, because not giving up those points in that first drive, you know, they knew they were a play away, and they got it, a play away from, you know, being right back in the game.
So probably time for maybe 2 plays, 17 seconds to go. Actually, I think this is the final play.
Yeah. there's one more. I think maybe we threw it to Brad. We got one more play yet, but yeah, we didn't get anybody behind him. I mean, we took a couple shots, but just if you watch their guys, well coached, our receivers are coming off, and they're putting some pads on you, where a lot of the weeks you clean release and get where you want to go right away, and they just were a real physical defense.
If he were able to come up with that catch there, he would have been.
Yeah. I mean, there was a yeah. So yeah, this is it. And I'm pretty sure that is Coach Peterson there, and that's Mick Peterson's brother, former coach of Pontiac.
Now, did they coach against each other a few times?
Oh, I'm sure they did. Yeah, I'm sure that they have. But the fun thing is, I mean, anytime you play these guys, they take a little pride in their football at Morris too, and obviously have had some tremendous success within their program. So, it's just really neat when it's two communities like this. And I had a friend of mine that made a point. He flew in from the state of Washington, and he stopped into Morris and spent about an hour just kind of hanging out in Morris, and then he dropped into Metamora, and just to kind of take in the communities. And he said the general word on the street he thought from Morris people was that we were the favorite. Yeah. But they didn't play like it. I mean, they certainly didn't play like they didn't think they could beat us.
And then you were fortunate enough to get back 2 years later and play another school like this, Geneseo.
Same deal, absolutely. Really fun, memorable games. So yeah, we're okay here, and other than probably alluded to more times than I should have, that we would have liked to have had more points on the board.
But you take a 7-0 lead into the halftime locker room, and we'll be back in just a few minutes after another commercial break. Well, welcome back to the second half. Again, what's the halftime speech like today?
Well, stay the course. Don't beat yourselves, and try to keep the ball in front of us on defense and not give up a big play. And basically put together a couple of drives and try to be the first ones to score in the second. We felt like if we could get two up, it might change their them to be a little bit more risky and take them out of the fact that they want to keep the clock going to a certain degree. So yeah, I mean, really, Scott, there wasn't a whole lot of adjustments. We didn't. Everything we thought we were going to see from them is pretty much what we saw, and then we didn't, and Lance did a great job for us there. It's just that one we never quite knew for sure, but he was willing to do it, and like I said, Brennan just wasn't quite ready yet.
So they'll get the ball on I think they'll probably take it there because it's further upfield than the 40-yard line.
Yeah, that I got to be honest, I don't quite remember. I just knew it's not exactly where we wanted them to start it, but, When they went spread, we went a little more three-man front, and we were able to utilize our quickness, and that's where Cody was really good, when we could get into that three-man front. He could be a down guy because he could see, I mean, look at that. They thought they had him, and that was a real nice athletic move to come back and get the quarterback. He just got better and better. He's one of those guys that it seemed like it was weekly. He was finding out, just how good he could be. And, of course, he comes back his senior year and just is a real good leader for us and made a lot of plays.
I thought the game that kind of sticks out was this particular year with Cody Kanaga was the Washington playoff game.
No doubt about it. Pretty good pressure. They snuck a guy out again. We rally again. We're getting to the football. We're pursuing. So really, at this point, there's no reason to think we're not going to be able to defend them. And all it took was just a couple big plays for them, and they're right back in the game.
But again, even when they throw these little out patterns, they're still, look at all there's 1, 2, 3, 4 guys right there.
Yeah, we good speed on defense and good pursuit. If you're a little undersized, that's how you got to make up for those things. Real play again there, and that was Ryan, I believe. We did a good job of over and under him there. And he knows it too. He knows we're going to. We man in a half team, but we didn't have to put 2 guys on him, and that was crucial to be able to stop their running game. But when they went they motioned there to isolate him, that kind of tipped off that was going to happen. Our kids knew, and Tom had him prepped, that when they tended to motion to isolate him, he was going to get the ball, and that's a nice play by Ryan Herron. Another guy that just got better and better and better as the season went on. Great kid to coach. So we get another stop.
Probably a little quicker than his brother, wouldn't you say?
Well, it's possible. It's possible.
But his brother Jeff, now on the coaching staff, the head freshman coach, does an outstanding job.
Yes, he does. We're really blessed that so many of our guys on our staff are guys that have these type of ball games, and they know what it's all about. And they know what it's all about from the kids' perspective too, and makes it fun. It's very, very rewarding. These are just real fun, and I think Coach Helmick alluded to a couple weeks ago. These games are very monumental, but it's the season and the weekly buildup as you're on that journey that is just a whole lot of fun. They played this well. This was a veer. We probably hit a little bit inside. In the end, was able to take 2 out of the 3, which forced us to pitch it, and they had a guy on them.
Where they defended that awfully well.
You're
right.
Yeah, they were good. They didn't stay blocked very long.
This is going on. This has just got to be flying by as you're thinking.
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
these games go so. It's a blink of an eye. Had a shot there, just missed him. Just missed him. And Cody was such a good, sure-handed guy. If he got it just a little bit closer, but I think Caleb was feeling a little bit of pressure here from the backside and felt like he had to pull the trigger, which he was, and he got it off. So if he'd have waited much longer, again, give them credit. We're pretty good at pass blocking, but they've got a good front. So you're going to get a little shorter window to do some things than what you've had all.
At this point, though, you're still feeling pretty good about things.
Yeah, we would have liked to have hit this just a little, in hindsight, made that play happen a little bit wider because they were so good at pursuit inside out. We probably gave them too many chances, Had them get by a guy or two, but when you're trying to get by 5 or 6, it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah,
So I was disappointing, a 3-and-out right back at him. We had a chance maybe to get something going and had been moving to football. So we hit a lull, and I think maybe we started to feel the pressure a little bit, both as coaches and players.
pretty good punt.
Yeah. Well, he was, we've been really fortunate. We just kind of tell our quarterbacks they become our punters, and we have to show them the punting game because early in their careers they don't always get a lot of punting opportunities. So we have to find guys that can do that.
You're alluding to your brother Kurt.
Yeah, he doesn't like to punt.
No.
It's a 4-letter word. So, and real nice play by them. I mean, not bad coverage, play action, real nice play by them. I mean, it wasn't so much that we blew anything. It's just that, you give them enough opportunity. We got them contained, and they inside out on us, and it's just a real nice throw. And the other Tondini makes a real nice play. So, I mean, you can see Brad's, not that far away from him. So, they are not a bad football team.
No.
In fact, they're a very good football team. maybe didn't come in as heralded as some of the football teams we played in the championship game, but the nice thing is we made adjustments. They didn't get us on much more than once, and that was beneficial. And that's what Coach Gunther was always able to do, and that's the process of the game. And when you have a veteran defensive coordinator, and if they get you on something, you figure out how to stop it. You make adjustments. And that's part of fun of coaching too.
Oh, like a chess match.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. You go back and forth.
They're starting to move the ball a little bit. They've picked up, their third first down?
Yeah, I think you're right. And again, they go back their spread game a little bit. He's a good runner. They had two runners that none of them necessarily had a ton of yards, but Slater and Black, but they were both, 210 and pretty hard-nosed kids.
Reminded me a lot of the two running backs that Sterling had back in, I think, like 04.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, maybe not with much speed, but certainly guys that could hit it up in there, no question. So again, they're in a comfortable. They're in our territory. It's 3rd and 3. They're essentially in 4-down territory, which is, when you can run the football, you like being in that situation. And not that we defend it badly.
No, I mean they're working just as hard to get their yardage as we are.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and I will say one of the things that I was concerned about, or we as coaches were concerned about in this game, is the fact that they had played in a lot of 4-quarter games. They had to win several games in the 4th quarter. It's where maybe we hadn't had to have. No, I mean, what do you do? But I think that made us a little bit vulnerable. Get up there, we don't quite get ready for the tee, and the kid just, we think we got him. And one of the few real breakdowns for us, Ethan makes a heck of a try, Zachman, to make the play, but we didn't get fit right, and he popped it. And it was, you can see they're getting off the ball pretty good. We get caught. You can see both Brad and Doobie both shouldn't quite have been in the same spot there, but man, you're not gonna fault their effort. Just kind of got caught inside, and the kid Tandini does a nice job of tackles. So good play, and I mean now it's a situation where they're right back in the game for sure. But we didn't just exactly let them walk in either. I mean.
So they give him the touchdown?
Yeah. I kind of remember that now. It was kind of like, I mean, you just wonder why they didn't. Not that they were knocking on the door. That there's a fair chance, regardless of getting it that far, they would have probably got it in. But there's where not scoring that first one hurts, because now all of a sudden it's a brand new ball game. Cushion is gone, and I give them credit for being a very resilient football team, as they had been for a month.
Yeah. So they lost both of their games early in the year.
Yeah, but they pulled some out there at the end, and just for finding ways to win.
So it's 7-7 with just a little under 7 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter. Now it starts getting a little bit tight again, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. No question about it. And this one was it just shortened. We probably didn't adjust the wind enough, and we got a huge break here, and it happened. Fortunately, we let it happen one other time too, where we got on it. But those are things that happen through the course of a game, and it's easy to look back now and say, well, why didn't this and why didn't that? But no game we had put together has ever been perfect by any stretch.
Did take a weird bounce, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think we kind of misjudged how far it was going to go. We probably should have guys probably should have been up. Well, I know now they should have been up a little bit further. But again, with these things, this group never, as close to rattle as they got, probably Scott would have been in the third quarter. Though I mean, we just were doing some things now that were a little uncharacteristic. We're one short here, and that didn't happen all year. We're one short on offense, and Caleb knows it. And so you don't want to do that too many times.
No.
Yeah, and we're going to get a penalty because we don't have enough guys on the line of scrimmage. You can't if you don't have them all in there. And I really don't remember if somebody got hurt or what the situation was, but that was unfortunate. You're playing a team this good, you don't really want to start 1st and 15.
Yeah, the third quarter we did get a little unraveled a little bit, but to their credit and to your coaches is that it didn't stay that way.
Well, that's right. I mean, we kept competing, which, I think these guys would have done if they had not had the ability. We had some pretty strong character on this football team. Good crew. That was a good crew. We've had them before in other venues at other places, but they did a great job, and it's fun for them too to get to this point. Veteran crew, no question about that. Usually it's always the back judge. It's a young guy breaking him in. So, we go back to counter. We're having some success, as we did all day. Caleb ran the ball extremely well. He had a very good game for us. I mean, there's a couple things he would have liked to have had back, but we ask a lot of our quarterbacks. So,
I think also on this drive too, he fumbles and second touchdown, but I think it might have been the only time.
Yeah,
I think that right there it is.
And he's trying to get us a first down on third down, and maybe stuck it out there just a little bit, and that's tough. I mean, that was a tough break. Whether or not, I think it was a good call. I don't think it was just unfortunate. It's just one of those bang bang plays, and he hadn't happened. Probably had that happen to him all year. No. So yeah, how quickly things can change in the game of football. It's just all the momentum now obviously is kind of traded over, and we're probably on our heels just a little bit here.
And I think that might have been his first fumble of the year.
I wouldn't be surprised because I know he didn't fumble a whole lot. And obviously they had some success in the tee, so they're going to stick with it, getting that third back in there and just try to bang it. Now they're real happy. They're in our territory and the game's tied, and they're just trying to give their defense, hang in there long enough to give themselves a chance to win the game. But I think in every season, if you look back in all the seasons that have ended in championships, there's always one game that you look at where, you had to hang in there and overcome some adversity because, it's just real difficult. Nice run here by them. And they've essentially finally made some adjustments. They did a nice job of hitting that. And we didn't fit in the right spot. So they found something and they went back to it, which it got squared away. But obviously they were hitting it just in the right spot. We got caved down just a little more than we want to. Now the 50, the Olsen kid is a really good athlete. He was an all-stater as well, if I recall. I'm not sure where he ended up going to school, but he was a scholarship guy.
They also had quite a few kids that go on to college.
Yeah,
at different levels too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, and I guess there's probably a certain element, if not through the crowd or just with us, and that being in 4 state championships prior to this and not winning, and the idea that maybe subconsciously we're thinking we're snake bitten, that we can never get one turned around, but never felt that way from the players at all. Honestly, never did. You just never got the sense, even though we had some tough breaks and maybe made some mistakes, that they were thinking that they couldn't win this game. I mean, that's just how they approached it.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this was the first time all year you'd been behind.
Well, I believe you're right about that. So there's a lot of things going on here, and what we were very comfortable with in the first half is now kind of disintegrated, and they are certainly thinking now, based on the fact that they've held us to 7 points this time up to this point, that they're going to be okay. So it's a ball game. There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean there's some angst. I think a good way to describe it at this point from our side. But we're going to keep going. I mean it's not like this group has just together and done too many things to back off at this point. And they tried to dink us again, and we had more guys here, but again it took a little bit funnier hop. But they did not want to kick it to Duvendak, which I don't blame them. He tied up in a hurry.
Matt Brunton with the recovery.
Yep. That's always fun too. The kids, our student body getting involved and participating in it in the game, and our student body is always real good, and our band too getting involved, and it's just fun. It's just great memories for the kids, and things they can talk about and remember for the rest of their lives.
So I think you start to put together a pretty good drive here. Pretty good pursuit there too, because Broad Gray can run.
Yeah. Again, that's something we probably got turned the corner on for 13 weeks, and they did a really good job of making sure that they didn't let us around the corner. I'm actually not sure if I don't think we get out of the hole here. I don't think. We'll see.
Well, I think you're right. I think we actually have to punt, and then they put together a drive that sets up a pretty good. Actually, I think we have to punt on that one too.
Yeah. There's the option again, which was a good play. We had some success running the football. We were in a little bit of lull here for sure. And maybe pressing a little bit. And you want to be careful here. You don't want to gamble too much. I probably lean to the conservative side anyway, but at this point we're going to be real careful.
And you mentioned it earlier. This is easily the best defense we'd played all year, and probably one of the two best defenses we'd played in the last.
Oh yeah,
them and Griffin.
I would say, try to put a one-on-one situation there. It ended up being as good a punt because we're down third, but tried to make a play there. And so at this point, obviously the momentum is really in their favor, no question. And I'm sure now they're thinking, hey, we're gonna have a real good shot at winning this thing.
But at this point, were the kids? Did you feel any doubt?
Yeah, no, I mean, sure. I mean, we're concerned. For heaven's sakes, we're down 7, and we just throw in there. But these guys competed. They competed well. So, I mean, we certainly feel like we got the team that. I mean, there's a lot of football left to be played here, and you can see that was probably a limiting factor when you turn the ball over. That can turn them around in a hurry. Especially when you turn it over in your territory, like the one we had that set up their second score. But they happen. Kids are perfect. That's part of the high school football scene, is that there's going to be some things like that every game you ever coach, where you're going to have to deal with, and the players have to understand. You just want to get that adversity turned as quickly as you can.
Because the mistakes they're making, the guys on Sunday who make millions make those same mistakes.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And we got a block below the waist there, which was pretty significant for us there.
Yes. I believe that's a spot foul.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah. Blocking the back, same thing. I think he's blocking in the back of the legs, but it's all the same. Yeah, I mean, Brad did kind of get tripped if you see there because he's kind of got the guy beelined.
And when that usually happened, usually he made it down.
Yeah, he's usually going more times than not. He's going to make that play. Right, right. So it was a break, and it kind of put them in the hole, and that they're gonna change how they're gonna call it too now because of the fact that they're deep. But
still see Brad Herman's dad at quite a few of the Metamora football
good guy,
games.
great supporter, as many of the football families are. They always feel like they're part of it. It's a little less stressful, I think, sometimes for the parents when they come back and their kids aren't involved, but still just enjoyable, and it's all to see him. That's what it's all about. He makes a nice play here just to get this off because we're getting after him. But again, good pursuit on our part.
Yep.
And it didn't turn into anything big, and now we got them third and deep. Chad had a good year for us at linebacker. When you're playing next to a guy like Brad Herman, he's going to get his accolades. But Chad really on both sides of the ball had a good career for us, and particularly this season.
Probably didn't get the credit he probably deserved.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes you can have the two best linebackers in the league. There's been some times where we felt like we had the two best guards, and you can't get them both all conference because it just doesn't. They won't vote it like that. So we got them deep. We're feeling good now. We feel like we'll get the ball back, and they want to talk about it. I think they called timeout. And
George looks angry.
Yeah, George looks angry most of the time. So don't let that. He's really a nice guy, though. I don't mean that in a negative way, but yeah, he's a high motor guy. That's for sure. I always thought he looked like Nick Nolte myself, but
he kind of does.
He does kind of, yeah.
But you've held them now, and maybe that little bit of that momentum that they had is starting to swing your way just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean we're stemming the tide at least. I mean we're at least kind of getting things back turned our way where we got a chance to get the ball back in their territory. Again, we had seen this before, and you can tell by how we react. Good tackle there. A good heads-up play. Kept it in front.
Nice open field tackle.
Yeah, and there was guys coming along too. So
didn't realize Lance Fano, he threw that guy clear out of bounds. Did you see?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, we're trying to make something happen here. Our kids are, they want to win.
Yeah.
No question about it. So effort, we're not going to fault. We didn't have to fault the effort of these guys all year. I mean, really, we knew the effort. He kind of stumbled and bumbled there, and that ended up being a big break. There's no question.
What a nice play, though. Your defense stayed at home. Yeah, they completed a pass, but everything was in front of them.
It was insignificant. Yeah, and I mean, if they end up getting that thing turned around, it could be a whole different deal.
Now, as the 75 team wasn't allowed to talk to the coaches, you guys were.
Yeah, that had changed since then. In fact, when Coach alluded to that a couple weeks ago, I really had no idea because it's never been that way, in my time. But he tried to make a play, and it was a break, But that's what these games are. I mean, you just. But when you get them, you got to make the most of them. So I think our guys know. There's a sense of urgency here, Scott. They know. We got to get something going. And but again, we're still. It's not like they're rolling over. We're still going to earn it. But we're in 4-down territory. So if we can keep moving it, we'll be all right.
And I believe this is the drive we tie it up on.
Yeah.
Getting close to the end of the third quarter. I think we actually score in the fourth quarter, but it's on this drive.
We kind of traded which way we ran the counter, which was a good adjustment. And that was one thing we did talk about at halftime. And we got a little something upstairs that if we could reverse the counter and run the counter scheme towards that laser formation, those three guys there, that could open up something. And that's exactly what happened.
And the one thing I've noticed is that they're we were never able to break any of their tackles.
Yeah, they're good tacklers, and that, like you said, I mean, you would expect for that in a game like this. But no, I mean, they're a good fundamental football team, and that's why they were playing in this game. I feel we were too, but they certainly were. Their defense was their bread and butter, though. That's what kept them around in the tournament for sure. And then they just made enough plays.
I believe you're going to let the clock run out.
Yeah, think about it for a minute. Know why? We probably know what we're going to call before, but we'll, just kind of regroup, make sure everything's under control, and if anybody's got any questions or seeing something that they're concerned about. But Caleb's demeanor, I mean, all season long, of course, that's how it was. But one thing about Caleb Turbush is you always got the same thing, He had a confidence. He had a high motor. He was a tremendous competitor, but he was pretty level-headed. Through most anything that he had over 2 years, he just was really a smooth guy, and I just really learned to appreciate his demeanor.
So that'll start the fourth quarter. Metamora trailing 14-7, but we're driving, and Broad Gray picks up a big chunk of yards down to the 5-yard line.
Now we're smelling it a little bit. I think our kids know, hey, we're going to just take care of it and get this one in. And it's funny, and that's the thing. Play the football game on statistics. If you look at the statistics and you don't see, but again, the turnovers were a factor.
Not many penalties.
No,
but 3 turnovers for us, and they've got 5 first downs.
Yeah,
your defense really was playing well.
Other than a couple glitches, we really did play great defense, and we're banging. Brock's doing a good job of taking care of the football, keeping it north and south, and mutual respect here. I mean, I think these kids really respected each other. We have great respect for Morris and what they've done, and I think they feel the same way. These are, like we alluded earlier to, that when you're playing town against town, it's just great. It's fun for the communities, fun for the kids.
When you compare Morris and Metamora and Geneseo, a lot of similarities in the towns, not just the football programs, but the towns.
Yeah, I agree. Ours is the only one that's not near Interstate 80, but yeah, you're right. You're right. And what's going to happen when we do get it in and it's 3rd and goal, and I think our guys are confident that that's going to happen. What I feel, to be honest with you, to me, that the most important kick of the afternoon for Brennan Van Meegum is not the one that puts us ahead. It's this one.
Ties it.
Because if he doesn't get this one, it changes the whole complexion of the game.
And in his mind, he's got to be thinking, because that first one, their guy came out of nowhere and came close.
Well, they got close to almost every one of them, but you're right. So this one is really, I don't even remember if I looked, because when you look back on it, this was the one, the one he kicks to win it is the game's tied. So, but head down, spot on, and everything has to go right up front for him too. But he ain't very big. He's a bigger guy now, I guarantee you. And that's where he's kicking now. So, but you can tell. I mean, he became pretty popular. And I don't know if everybody knew his last name at that point, but they knew he was all right. He was going to be okay.
Yeah, he'd get to be pretty popular here in about 11 minutes.
Yeah, much more popular than I could ever possibly imagine, so it was just great. Great for him, and,
Is that a Geneseo fan?
A lot of, yeah. So that was big, and I think we feel like, hey, now it's tied up, and it's a whole new ball game for us, too. But it was an early start to the day when you got that early one. We'll go. You would go play it at 6 a.m. if you had to, but it's an early start to the day. It's a little bit different. You play all the night games, and you can't start the playoff games earlier than 1. All of a sudden, you're playing first thing in the morning. But for us, it was a lot shorter drive than it was for them.
So you had the kids up at what time in the morning to get to this?
I think we had breakfast. We were on the road by, I think, 7, Scott. I'm pretty sure, maybe even just a tad earlier than that. But yeah, it was an early start, but nobody could sleep anyway, so might as well get up and eat and get going. So you always wonder what those guys see. They have those memories. I know Chad's talking to Doobie. Who knows what they're talking about?
Think it's football?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping it's football related. And again, same spot. You know, we're going to squeeze her down, but you know, they did a good job.
When Adam Duvendek came into Metamora, his freshman year, quarterback. Caleb Turbush is a wide receiver, and I used to kid Jared Gubner. The only guy that ever stopped Caleb Turbush was Jared.
Well, you know, and that's why it takes time. You want kids to stay in the program, get some things figured out. There we finally, you know, we make some adjustments like we had all year, and you know, just making sure we've got somebody at that next level to get fit in the right spot there. And they got pretty good movement up front too. I think sometimes it opened up just a little bit more than what we had been accustomed to. Big 3rd and 3 here.
This is the drive that they start that it's not looking good for a while.
Well, yeah, I mean it's going to get hairier before it gets better as far as we're concerned. They run this play, which we had also seen, and you could tell Doobie reacts to it real well. So this one we're okay, but if I recall, it's the punt. We don't catch the punt. It's kind of funny, and Doobie's not sure, and then they get a real favorable pop.
So you force them to punt now. And the momentum's starting to swing a little bit in your favor.
Well, for a real short window, I guess, this punt was huge for them. I mean, it really could have ended up being the backbreaker as far as field position goes. You know, it's just like it got that turf, and it was like it got shot out of a cannon. And, you know, he doesn't get a chance to return it. And we're pretty deep in our territory. So, you know, with the game tied at this point, you're deep in your territory. You know, you want to be careful. And we didn't do a particularly good job of getting it out of here like we had done all year. But, you know, showed some resiliency. Just one of those things. Just one of those things that happen. It's not ball. We didn't quite get to the ball, and then it just really hit and rolled. At this point, we just want to try to get a little bit of breathing room.
Not a bad first down play.
No. I mean, we're gonna, you know, go back to what our kids know and just try to start rooting it out of there.
You know, looking back, you kind of forget that we were really big up front, weren't we?
We were. It's nice sized kids, but to go along with the size, smart, really good up front, great communicators up front. They had a lot of adjustments. What happened here was they kind of said something in a defensive call that was part of our cadence. And I don't know if they did it on purpose or what, but our kids, you can see our kids are going, we didn't say that, they did. And, you know, Patrick, and it's, again, at this point, things are rough. We got the punt, then we got that goofy thing going on. But, you know, kids are still on it. Hey, let's get going. Let's try to figure our way out, which we, you know, didn't get out of here, but we just missed. We really were set up. This, if you know, you don't have the rewind. Nick he tried to get a piece of him, and if he gets that kid, anybody on the play side that's not accounted for, if we just would have got a little bit more of them, and
would that have been a big gainer?
It would have been a nice game. I mean, if you watch this thing unfold, we've got some pretty good movement, and it's right there. We got another guy. I think we got a shot to get 30, but you know, you can say that probably on any bad play that, you know. So now we're standing in our own end zone. It's 3rd and 12. So these are not fun calls to make. You want to take a shot, but and we do. If we don't have the penalty, we would have been. If you look at if we had the penalty here, if we don't have the penalties in this drive, we probably get it out of there. But they're kids. They're not perfect. Things happen.
Now, if this is your brother Kurt, he still goes for it, doesn't he?
Well, he might have that luxury. I don't know in the state championship if he would have, but you'd have to ask him about that. So we got a procedure call, which really hurt, and it was we had gone in a different unbalanced formation, and they didn't have us for having enough guys on the line of scrimmage. So we thought we were okay, but again, that wasn't going to change what happened. And here we go. We're our backs are against the wall. We're not going to have the luxury to. We're not going to have the luxury to go for it there. Not against that defense. You go for it and you don't get it, and now you're really in trouble. As it turned out, it put us in kind of a precarious position anyway, because they get the ball back and pretty darn good because they get a return.
I think at this point I'm in the stands and I couldn't watch.
Well, I think I think everybody's realizing that it could have gone a little bit better, and the would and couldas, and the game's still being played. Caleb had a nice punt. Obviously, it's a nice punt. Didn't quite break down there, and the kid has a heck of a nice return. I think that's Wagner. He had made some plays for him through the course here. So, yeah, Scott, I mean, there's no doubt. I got to be honest, at some point, when you're watching this, where they get the ball and the time and the fact that they had success running the T in 4-down territory, we're concerned. But great effort by Caleb, coming down there is a nice pop. But the kids still, as oddly as you might think, the kids still are locked in. I mean, there's no panic. There's nobody griping at one another. We should be no. They're just playing the game.
Because do you think they had that feeling that somebody was going to make a play?
Yeah. I mean, look, they're in there. There's no question about it. But to Morris's credit, I mean, they're still, and I think they think, we're either going to win this thing or we're going to tie. And the next time they get the ball, they kind of change their mentality a little bit. But as many tough breaks as we'd had in championships up to this point, I guess maybe we knew we were due for. And this was the kind of team these are the kind of kids that could make that happen. We'll divide action.
Yeah, they're already down inside the 30-yard line.
Yeah, and I mean, there's Sam, Diaz. I mean, our guys are lined up. I know they're. I'm sure they're concerned. We're all concerned at this point. But if you look at it, there's still quite a bit of time left too. That was the thing. You forget really how much time was left in the game when all this was going on.
6:14 to go in the game, and really, they have some success here, but it's more after this.
Yeah, I mean, and nice to get the first down, and now they're thinking, shoot, we're inside the 20. We can grind this thing out, get it in, and
run some clock.
And win this ball game. Which
look at that.
Why wouldn't you? Good open field tackle there by Doobie. Made a lot of plays for us on both sides of the ball. Fantastic high school football player, as many of these guys were, but I think we appreciated some of them. Some of these kids more after you go back and you have a chance to reflect on the season and look what some of these kids did through the course here. Just a lot of fun. So, they go for it and they get it, and the clock's still rolling. We don't have the ball.
Yeah, they've set themselves up pretty well here in this.
And this really kind of fit into their, just get it close, get us the ball at the end with the chance to win it. So give George and his staff and their kids a lot of credit here.
Nice play by the defense.
Yep. We're not going to give in. I mean, it's just too good a group of kids. They're still playing, and they know this is it.
Right now, you're thinking, all right, somebody's got to step up and make a big play.
We need a play here, Scott. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We need somebody to make a play.
Going kind of with the Matt Sefner look there a little bit.
Well, I guess. And, nobody's quite sure what happens. And
I don't think even half of our players do.
No, and Sam Diaz comes across, and we're trying to say, what happened? We knew he had the ball, and Sam said, I took it from him. He kind of led the fact, hey, I took it from him. And, look, hey, just, he's not going all. You can tell the other guys are excited, but it's like, hey, I needed to make a play, and he did. He literally took it from the kid. And I'm sure that kid had not had that happen to him very often either. And tough break for him, but heck of a play by Sam. And there was a guy that really technically grew into that role, but a great character kid, and needless to say, we kind of needed that.
Yeah.
But again, we still got to deal with the fact that we're deep in our territory and go back and
nice.
Yeah. I mean,
so that takes us out of a little bit of a hole, though. Too.
Yeah, the farther we can get away from that orange back there, the better off we're going to feel about it. And certainly,
But they still force us to punt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the momentum has started to even out a little bit.
Well, I mean, we dodged a big bullet there. There's just no way around a heck of a play. But, that's what it takes, I think. In the end, at some point through the course of a season, you got to have a play or two. And, these guys we ran for Caleb, here we are. There's our we got a little bit of breathing room. So even if we punt, we're probably going to back them up. We just don't want to get beat at this point. We don't want to do anything to give them an opportunity to win the game. We want to take some chances, but not, we don't want to do anything that's going to turn the ball over here. That's I don't know if that's everybody else's thinking, but that's kind of what I'm thinking right now.
Because at the worst, right now you're tied.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we'll shots with 4 downs in overtime, and that doesn't mean we're not trying to score here. And you can see Brock's, everybody's taking a little extra care because we know where we're at on the field.
Now, the other thing that's got to be a huge plus for you guys, you play so many kids, but you have a couple kids, Herman and Duvendak, that go both ways. But for the most part, your offense is on the sidelines.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We were able to get guys in and out, get them some breaks, and get those guys off the field at times. Not very often, but, again, we come Caleb with a really nice run. It's one of those things, if you had another, if we'd have done that the last time we had the ball, put it together, we might have been able to take it down and finish her off. But our kids are staying on it. I mean, they're playing with some confidence, and as they did all year. Look at Tim's getting after it.
Nice
Corwin
block.
getting down, Corwin jumping over guys to get in there. And there he's trying to get outside and make a play. He probably could have snuck in there, but it's easy to say when you're watching it and you don't have the ball in your hand. But you said it best. We got it out of a hole, and it changed the field position a little bit. And I'll be honest, what unfolds next is beyond anything I could have possibly imagined at this point. I really thought that they'd try to hang on to it. They had some opportunity with the T formation. That's where they'd hurt us on the 10 going in that T. Maybe they feel pretty good about it. So.
I think his quote in the paper was they decided to go for the win.
Yeah, and they could have worked out differently too. There's no question about that. I mean, you give them credit, and maybe once us being a little bit conservative was something that we felt like was really, really good for us. But they're not as deep. They're in the 30s, but they're still. I mean, it's a little bit different than having them inside your 20. I know that, and they got behind us on one play that first series. But other than that, we covered them pretty well all day. And now we have the advantage of, hey, if they spread out, we're going to defend the pass. I mean, they don't have a running back when they spread out that they can give the ball to and gash you. I mean, they got the big kids, but when they spread out, they really didn't have anyone you're running the football. So, you know, we see this, and we're pretty much sure what they're going to do. And, you know, you just don't want to let anybody behind you. Now, did it work out a little better than what we thought? Well, sure it did, but we didn't. We felt like we had things pretty well squared away. We did have the official knocks down. I can't remember, and he didn't intentionally do it, but we got knocked down a little bit there, and we had to kind of catch up on coverage. I don't know if you'll get to see it here. Maybe you will. But one of our guys kind of gets screened off by the back judge. He's going, oh, yeah, it's Stuvendak. He's got a shot at the ball, and he kind of got knocked around. So he might have got that one. I mean, that's a good situation for Adam to be in when he knows it's going to be passed. And, you know, the back judge just, I'm sure he felt bad. He didn't try to do it.
But he's probably happy that nothing really.
Yeah, it would have been a little harder to. He would have felt worse if it had been a catch.
Yeah. And I think this is the play.
But you know what excitement! I mean, at this point, everybody's into it. If you're in this, if you don't even have a dog in the race, you're excited right now. This is something. And
actually.
we almost got that. We had a little bump there. Chad kind of ran into a receiver, and Herman almost got that one. So. We feel like we're honing in on her here.
I'd forgotten about that play.
Yeah. See, Chad kind of bumps the guy, and the ball's actually already – but it's almost simultaneous with the deflection. It's just too close. You wouldn't – you know, I'm sure they wouldn't. And it was the same guy that got in our way the last time, so he felt like that even things.
He owed us one. Yeah.
I'm not saying he thought that by any stretch, but so, yeah, here we go. And, you know, we know they're in the pass mode here. Bringing pressure, but want to make sure we keep in front. We had a guy over and under, and he overthrew him, and there he goes. And what a guy to have the ball, you know, and they're doing, I mean, they practically chicken winged him to get that thing out of there, but he ain't giving it up. And now, Scott, all of a sudden, everything is, we got a shot. But we still, it was, you know, exactly, some strange things are yet to happen, really, but just a heck of a play. And then to get that much mileage out of it when he got it picked off was pretty much a thrill. There was quite a happy feeling on the sideline when Adam picked that off. And we're trying to get downfield and get a block. A couple guys getting downfield, doing it like you do in preseason when you work on those things.
Well, there's going to be a play in here too. I think it's on second down. And again, it's hard to see that when you're on the field, but he has Brad Herman wide open at about the 3.
Yeah, we again, but I mean, and we know we got time. We got 5. We're not in a panic mode, but yeah, But at this point, the good news is we've dodged the bullet from the standpoint. If no matter what, this game's gonna continue.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna get the last shot at it, and if it doesn't work out in our favor, we're gonna be okay. Little glitch there, you know, darn it, you know, and I know Charlie didn't make very many mistakes in his 2 years, I guarantee you. He'd like to have that one back. But look at Caleb, I mean, he's not, you know, he's just walking over, what do we got? You know, we'll get it.
So in your back of your mind, you're thinking, okay, we're just going to be conservative, keep the ball in the center of the field, and kick a field goal?
We knew we were getting close to a field goal. We really did. I mean, we would have rather scored a touchdown, take the pressure off of them, but we knew we were getting close to a field goal because we're getting to the point where it's almost we're not at that extra point spot yet, but we're getting closer.
Now, did that same thing happen there that happened in that play before, where the Metamora players, your players are pointing to the Morris players?
they you know, and what do you do? I mean, they have rules for that, and they're trying to get it, and it, you know, maybe they didn't do it on purpose.
Now watch Herman right there.
Yeah.
That's hard to say.
Sure.
That's hard to see.
Absolutely. And again, it's one of those things when you're looking at it from this perspective. Sometimes you get a much better. You know, he was thinking pretty sure it was going to be to Kanega, but you're right. And their guy makes a great play too. I mean, they're still competing. The guy leaves his feet to get his hands on it. So you know, it's just pretty wild right now.
So you complete a pass here to pick up a big chunk of the yards.
Chad, yeah. And we always said, it was as interesting as it was, and this is true, we said if there was one guy at the end you thought would be the most sure-handed guy to throw a pass to, he actually is as sure-handed as anybody we got.
Baseball player.
Yeah, I mean, and just, yeah. And
nice
just
block
doing
by
his job.
Herman.
Yeah, Brad picks up. So now, okay, we're getting close where we think we got a shot at her.
So now,
good throw right there. Brad does a good job of getting a piece of that guy. And now it gives us that little extra, space. We're getting a little bit closer where we feel like field goal's an opportunity.
now you do something that a lot of the fans in the Metamora couldn't understand. You call a timeout.
Well, I was concerned that we weren't going to get it off in time. The clock was winding down, and I didn't mean to ice him, and that's what people say, why would you ice your own kicker? And you know what, it gave me a chance just to lighten the mood a little bit. I mean, I wanted the kids to say, hey, just relax and get it done. And I know they were probably kind of surprised that because they were let him kick it. I mean, they obviously weren't going to call timeout. If they were waiting till right at the bitter end. Well, we're just trying to get him to relax. Don't worry, the whole town needs you to make this be okay. But I think I said, hey, don't worry about it. If worst case scenario, if it doesn't go in, we're going to beat them in overtime or something to that effect. I mean,
Did the rest of the players even say much?
No, I think they realized, I mean, they don't know. They don't want to say too much to him either. But this, seeing this replay again, I'm sure, it's fun every time you watch it. And, just
every time I've watched this field goal, he makes it every time too.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, we did have a little bit of, they did have a shot. They did pop a guy through, but you can see his head never comes up. He does everything funnily right. The snap's there.
It's right down the middle.
Yeah, I mean, what a way to take the lead, and we got just everybody's thinking now, hey, we might have one here, and certainly a moment in our football history and that young man and our staff that we'll never forget that one. That was quite something. But even still, though, there's 31 seconds I think left in the game. And,
something like that.
They're going to get their hands on the ball again. But that was big. That was absolutely big. And he's a pretty popular guy on the sideline at that point.
Yeah.
And, to have all those times that we were there and had opportunities to win and didn't.
A couple people there.
Yep, and the band's playing, and it's, it's fun.
Now, do you even hear this?
Oh, yeah, you're going to hear it, yeah. So, here we are, we got 27 seconds yet because the field goal took off 4, but at this point we think we got a shot at her. It's crazy as the momentum swings in this game were fairly substantial, so you still want to wait. That slowest 27 seconds in the history of being on the sideline, I guess, because it just it's every play seemed like the clock just wouldn't move. We wanted to be careful, don't let them set up a return and a ball, and we did, played that right. And now you just got to keep them in front again. But still, I mean, if you watch us, there was, we're still not done yet.
No.
There's still football being played, and you can tell their kids are still competing. You don't see them hanging their heads, and they're a very competitive bunch.
Now you'll also see I'm not sure if it's on the first play, maybe the second play from scrimmage. Cody Kanega actually gets just tackled on the play.
Yeah. It's tough to call him there at the end, but yeah, we had good pressure there, good catch, and they're doing we had seen that once before. I mean, you play back, and there wasn't anything that happened in that afternoon that the kids weren't at least prepared for, and they executed some things too, but
believe they have a penalty.
Yeah, they
brings
had.
the ball back.
Yeah, they had something. I don't know if it was
Motion.
Yeah,
You're right. The referees did an outstanding job in this game. Let the kids make the plays.
that's right. That's right. And that's what a veteran crew does. I mean, you got to take care of things that are, you got to do your job too. But it is about the kids. And obviously, when you get to this point, they realize that.
Pretty excited Metamora.
Yeah,
fans.
I think they're holding back a little yet though. 15 seconds. I see a whole lot of streamers flying yet. We're gonna play this thing out, but just keep it all in front. Just got enough of them. It was a good ball. We were in front of it, and the kid almost made a real nice catch there. But now when you get it down to the last play, it's like, hey, just don't let him get in the end zone, and it's over.
They were probably pretty glad he dropped it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
At least he gave him one shot.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's right. That's right. But because they had so far to go, now we're backed off pretty good. And not that we needed it by any stretch, but we had timeouts. We actually called this timeout, and you got it, and you got 11 guys, and you're one play away. Just for Coach Gunther to be able to make sure, okay, just double check everything, I guess. See, we had just a little bit of leak there on that left side.
that had to be a good feeling to see those refs come out with their hands up like that.
You bet. You bet. Very unorthodox way to win this game, but not when I say that, though, the guy that we knew was very capable. Like I said, we probably should have done that the first time we were down there. Maybe it would have given us a little bit more breathing room.
Pretty much throws this into the bench, and when the players started going over to the sidelines, you could tell the game was over.
Yeah.
And
what a thrill. I mean, there's just no question. It was just a real blur for the next, but just for the kids, I mean, just this, and the coaches too. I mean, we were just, the way that game, we just felt like we had to earn every bit of it. And of course, we know what it's like to be on the other side of those in this situation. And it was just a really neat high school game with a very unique end and a very fun season. Just fun all the way through. And of course, even more meaningful was Tom Gunther's last game as our defensive coordinator. And we have a picture. Tom recently went into the Illinois Football Coaches Hall of Fame, and we got a picture of him and Brad Herman walking off arm in arm, and that was basically Tom's last walk off a high school football field as a coach, and it was pretty meaningful. But just, for the kids, they'll never forget it. We'll never forget that day. You forget bits and pieces of it, but just to see everything that those guys put into this thing. And so any one of those guys could have been an individual star and have had more impressive statistics, but our players accepted their role, whatever their role was, and that's what great teams do. And then find a way to win when it doesn't lay out perfectly, and they did all of it. You really don't even know what to say. It's really, I don't really know what to say now. It's just a whole lot of fun.
So the game's over with, and you make that long trip back to Metamora, but it doesn't seem to be as long when you're on the winning side, does it?
No, that's exactly right. And look back, we look back, saw that trophy about 3 times, but it was a significant day as far as the program was concerned, and having so many opportunities there and not winning, but it would have been fun regardless. I mean, these kids they just brought us a lot of joy for all the months we had them.
come back, you start seeing people along the side of the road and everything. That's got to feel a little bit like Hoosiers, doesn't it?
Yeah, really neat. And even people from Eureka and Roanoke, as you're going through, offer taking the time to congratulate you. And a lot of emails from folks that didn't have they were from Metamora, got together as a family just to come to the game, play football, but felt like they were part of it because they were from Metamora. And absolutely, I think small towns lend themselves to that. So many of the people, even if they don't have a guy in the program, have been a part of the program, or have a neighbor, and it's just doesn't get much better than that.
This was your fifth trip to the state championship, I believe. The other two came out on the short end, but it had to feel almost like you had a monkey off your back, didn't it?
Well, you don't ever. I don't think you ever want to make it a personal, because there's so much that goes into Metamora football beyond one person. It was very gratifying, Scott. I'm not gonna lie. It was a very gratifying win. But you know what? Here's the thing: if we don't win today, it's going to be difficult. There's no question. If we don't win this game, but to have the kind of fun and be around the number of good kids that we've been around on these journeys to get to the final. Bottom line, when you get to this game, you've got to play as many possible games. There isn't any after this. You don't cheat yourself, and that's what's the most meaningful thing. But winning them's nice. There's no doubt about it. But
well, it's always fun to go back and relive these games, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
It's a blast.
It was a thrill again.
And thank you again for watching the game with us and tell us a little bit of the insights. And we'll see everybody next week again on Redbird Football Classics.
Thanks, Scott.